This morning we're going to take a look at Old Valdez. This is where the location of Valdez was before the 1964 earthquake here in Alaska. And then I think we're going to run into town, and there's a what they call Valdez Museum, which kind of explains more of what happened here. So come along. Thanks. They said there was 4 log cabins and a bunch of tents here. So this is the original town site of Valdez, and it was moved after the earthquake. I don't know which way it'd be, north of here, but the town started out as a stopping point to drop people off that were going mining, and they would stop here, let them off, and then they'd have to hike over the Valdez Glacier. And most of them, they said it took 2 months to get just over the glacier, but I guess it was worth it. It's part of the gold rush. And here's some of the original town in the 50s and 60s. The town grew pretty good, it looks like. And this is the original. When the town first started, it was just basically a camping site.
We've been kind of like just driving around and looking at the area here. What happened was the 1964 earthquake up here in Alaska that did so much damage. The Army Corps of Engineers came in and said, you can't live here. This was the location of the old Valdez, the city. And they have little markers, and you can do a walking tour or a driving tour. This is part of the old downtown. Go to the left. And you can see some of the equipment that's still laying around. They said was from here. That dock. There's some docks down there. We're not going to drive down there because the road's really bad. We might on this one. But this is the docks from the old town. There's a building right there. There you can see a building. And then that's where the docks were. And even where that old barge is, that's part of the docks. I don't know what they're doing down there, but looks like they're trying to clean it up a little bit. But these are all part of the old town. Well, just go up to it. We're not going to go through here because there's salmon, and we don't want to kill the salmon. We don't want to run the salmon over. But there's literally
Salmon have
made it all the way to here, and they're dying.
Plenty of salmon. There's a walkway. I'm sure there's and a bear or two. Today we're at the Valdez Museum, and outside the museum they've got a display with a lifeboat used in the MS Princeton. It was MS Princeton. It was a 427-foot passenger liner, had 329 passengers and 190 crew, that sunk in 1980. And this is one of the lifeboats they had that this helped save the people. It's kind of an interesting boat. See, it's got a propeller, but if you sat in the boat, you could actually propel the boat itself using those levers. So basically you push and pull back and forth, and you can propel the boat. Okay, we're still outside the museum here, and this is one of the scrubbers they use for the pipeline. This is a mock-up, of course. It wouldn't look like this, but you can see the inside, how it scrubs it down as it turns through. And
Fire truck. That's cool.
it's an old hand pump fire truck. People stand on the side and they pump it.
Yep, like this. You grab it.
Right. Pull it down and pump it. What year was it?
I don't know. There's a bigger one right here.
1886.
Look at this one. That one's fancy.
Yeah. They probably had a steam engine, yeah.
That's where you're recording.
You could pull it around with a horse. It's got the oilers there and everything. See the oiler?
It's a 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 1907. 19 can't, how you say that?
Aaron's?
Steam.
Yep, pre-restoration. There's a lighthouse lens that was in Prince William Sound. Airplane skis. Sealskin. Bear cut. Parkas. Dip net.
Farm and light construction. To trap fish and shrimp.
Okay.
This is their gear to go to the gold mines. Their sled with their big pack of flour. Their blanket. And their shoe spikes. This is the cabin layout. So the cabin, they either did a square flat notch.
Dovetail?
Notch.
Or a saddle notch?
And then they filled it with, this was a tarred,
Oakum?
yeah, fiber. This was cotton or burlap is what they used to stick.
Chinking.
Chinking. And then their supplies. This would be the miner supplies. So this was for a gold rush miner supply list. It came out to $244 back then. But it has a list of everything they would.
Every year.
Yeah, every year. Their grocery list, their hardware list, and then they had the medicine chest, horse, pack saddle, and flat sleighs.
We didn't run into too many of those.
So to go with the railroad tunnel that we went out and seen, that's how Valdez nearly got a railroad. It ended up with two rival groups. The Home Railroad and the Alaska Syndicate. And they came to blows. The Battle of Swords ended in a fraud, a death, and Valdez subsequently lost the right to a railroad. So here's the actual shootout. The Reynolds hired workers in the railroad was delayed until they reached Keystone Canyon, over which the Alaskan Syndicate still claimed ownership. Shots were fired, 2 men were injured, and 1 was dead. The Alaskan Syndicate would be brought up on charges. Reynolds Home Railroad went bankrupt, and the economy grew. Valdez image losing out on the economic growth from the interior. If not a railroad, what about a highway? Lost out on the railroad, but what did they get?
A road. A regular road highway.
And it's called the Richardson.
This is a Pinscon bar. It's a fixture of downtown Valdez.
It was closed on March 27, 1964, the day of the Great Earthquake. 2 or older is $9, because it was $18 for us to get in. And they also give you a pass to the other part of the museum. So there's this museum, and then they have a second museum on down towards the harbor, and that's about the Great Earthquake, the Great Alaskan Earthquake, and the old Valdez, what happened to it. But you get a free pass once you pay for here. So come here first.
So not only did the earthquake occur, but during the earthquake, the Standard Oil Tank Farm exploded, ignited, and floated into town. And then the Union Oil tanks caught fire and exploded.
And then we built the Alaska Pipeline. The first barrel of oil, Valdez, 1977, July 28th at 11:02. This town has a lot of history. Then, on top of everything else, the Exxon Valdez happened. March 23rd of 1989. At 12:04, it strikes the reef, puncturing 8 of the ship's 11 tanks and spilling 5.8 million gallons in the first 3.25 hours. The hull of the Valdez.
So the initial settlement, the civil settlement from Exxon was $5 billion. But they appealed it and got it down to $507 million.
Which half of the people were already dead by that time. The city of Valdez didn't do anything. They did not participate in any of the lawsuits.
By then, 3,000 of the original claimants passed away.
Yep. They have a little gift shop too. Books, mainly. Some trinkets.
We're at the second part of the Valdez Museum, and they've got these cool sculptures out here. They're made out of wood. This is called Stunning Mermaid. She's holding up a star. We're inside the museum. This is a scale that was used in the hardware store. And they use it to weigh nails, I guess. But
This
a
is
lot of people
really,
put their baby in it. A handmade washing machine. Pull the lever. See if it works.
This one?
Just real soft.
No, I'm not. I don't want to break
Okay. Got a big diorama of the town site.
before the earthquake.
Right around dinner time, Lavonda Bukers and her brothers and sisters are playing outdoors.
At that age, at 13, my thoughts of an earthquake was, oh my gosh, the ground is going to open up and swallow me.
In Seward and Anchorage, the ground literally opens up. The Denali Theater falls 30 feet, while in Kodiak it's
like waves rolling down the road, the trees and the power lines are just.
It's the
whipping
second
back and forth.
largest
It shakes
earthquake
for
in
nearly
U.S.
5
history.
minutes. 85 miles from the epicenter, the earthquake triggers underwater landslides in Seward, which in turn generate deadly local tsunami waves, inundating the town in mere minutes. Seward is devastated. Houses, boats, and even train locomotives are swept hundreds of yards inland. Just 53 miles from the source, the town of Valdez is washed out by local tsunami waves as well. This simulation shows how Valdez Harbor first went dry. As the seafloor drops, then surges upward 50 feet, a wave starts racing to shore. Here's actual footage of the wave as it surged in. Of the 28 people on the docks, no one survives. Meanwhile, the main tsunami waves generated at the epicenter are roaring from the Gulf of Alaska toward Kodiak Island from the Aleutian Trench. The earth is permanently lifted by 30 feet in some spots. No local tsunamis were created, buying time for residents to evacuate up Pillar Mountain. About an hour later, the first tsunami.
Yeah, there's a portable loader from 1948.
Yeah, Lincoln Roller.
Yeah.
200 amp, 30 volts.
Yeah, the guy actually used it. He started his own sand and gravel business, and then he ended up at the end working on the Trans-Alaska pipeline system in 1975. Look at this old carriage. It's a Lincoln. No, it's not a Lincoln. What's it called? I can't remember. It's really cool. That is really neat.
Gas storage tanks leaked and contaminated the port.
Of course, got a couple bear skins on it.
There's the fire engine. It's a neat addition to the other museum.
So we're done at the Valdez Museum. It's really nice.
It was definitely worth the money. I would come here. It's definitely well done. And it's an excellent museum.
Yeah.
It goes through all parts of the history of Valdez. And it's really interesting. You learn a lot more than what you knew about Valdez. So thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you haven't already, subscribe and have a great day.